we were actually talking about this in a team meeting a while ago, and the idea of how on social media these days we see so many like reels and whatever of like this is how your man should be, this is, and like all this like personal development self-help about relationships that makes us feel like we're not in the right relationship, or that because our man doesn't like read personal development work and like go to men's retreats, that he's basically not enough for us and we deserve better. And this is this whole thing that we need to be really aware of, that I kind of talked about in the dark side of personal development episode, where when you do all this work on yourself, you can't think that other people that haven't done all this quote unquote work on themselves are less than or like not enough for you, because that's not actually true. When I met my fiance, he hadn't done any work on himself, and like he doesn't go to any fucking like men's retreats or whatnot. And like if I try to send him anything on Instagram, he literally ignores it. He does not pay attention to anything I sent him. Besides like funny stuff, but I still have to text him to be like, look at the Instagram I sent you 5 days ago. So he just completely ignores it. And it's, of course, interesting, right? Because he's never on social media. He doesn't like scroll Instagram or anything like that. And so as a result, he doesn't ever think that our relationship should be any different because he's not seeing anything different online. I'm obviously seeing different things online. And yeah, sometimes I'm like, oh, that's actually a really good idea. But if you're forcing something in your relationship, I'm telling you right now, that's going to make your relationship worse, right? We have to remember that Instagram reels are fake and they're curated, and the content can be really powerful, but the content doesn't add like the content doesn't have context where it could necessarily then easily weave into your life. You're responsible for adding the context and making it yourself. So you might see a really great Instagram post with like, oh, this is a really great suggestion of something that like we could do in our relationship. Cool. You need to make it actually work in your relationship. And I've been meaning to do this for a while, but I haven't found a good enough one, where I wish you guys could sometimes hear the audio behind reels. And the reason why I say this is because the audio behind reels, it shows you like the reel is like curated. Now, does my man do everything that I post on online? Yes, because I am super like what's the word? In integrity about that stuff. Very, very authentic. I would never post anything that we don't actually do or that my man doesn't actually do. That's why I love my podcast, because I can like give you guys the actual tea that I can't give on Instagram. But when you've got a reel of us walking down the hallway, someone's filmed it, and I'm not walking down the hallway with a fucking bunch of flowers in my hand just doing nothing with no handbag. Like that has been a curated thing. But what's funnier is if you listen to the audio the whole time, my fiance was like, are we done yet? Are we done yet? Like, this is fucking stupid. I hate this. Like, I'm over this. And it literally shows like you think that this is real. This is fake. Does he absolutely treat me like a queen? Yes, which is why that long form content or the caption is super important. But when you are looking at reels that are just videos and pictures, and they're like the two of them are like dancing with their wine glasses or in the rain, or like they're on holiday and just cuddling, and you think, oh my god, they've been having sex for 15 hours a day the whole entire week. They're not. And you know what, even if they are, that's okay. It doesn't mean that you have to have sex for 15 hours a week, because you don't know what they are doing, as in like what holiday they're on that's warranting the sex. I, for one, hope that me and my fiance are having sex for 15 hours a day on our honeymoon, because we don't have anything else to do, but we're on our honeymoon. So that's why I'm saying the context is important. If you are pulling that video into your average Tuesday, like it doesn't actually make sense. So you need to remind yourself that whatever you're seeing, you can use it as inspiration, but it's not the black and white, the right or wrong. So most of the time, if you're thinking that your relationship isn't enough, I can almost guarantee you, and if when you're thinking actually, if is my relationship enough? And if you really if you really like close your eyes and pay attention to your thoughts, you might actually be like, is my relationship enough? And have other images pop up, or have what you think you need in order for it to be enough. Okay, when you think of what you need in order for it to be enough, where did you get that idea from? Like, I actually want you to close your eyes right now. Think about something that you like need more of in your relationship. Where did you get that idea from? Is it coming from like when you think about that, where did I get this idea from? If I was to think of like, oh, what do I want in my relationship? I literally can visualize it coming out of a phone. I'm not joking, coming out of a phone, or I can feel it in my heart. And the heart is like, it's a desire. So if you feel like the desire of you really wanting more intimacy, okay, get specific with that, because intimacy doesn't just mean sex. Is that coming from your heart, or is it coming from your head? Is it coming from outside of you? Maybe you're literally thinking about the reel that you saw 3 weeks ago on Instagram. Then I can tell you right then and there isn't necessarily not enough in your relationship. It's not that he's not good enough for you or she's not good enough for you. It's that you are unconsciously comparing yourself to something that isn't fucking real. So let me give you like a real depiction of a relationship. There 100% needs to be respect. There needs to be unconditional love. There needs to be healthy communication, like all those things that you guys know from all my podcast episodes. And if you haven't listened to a million of them, then go to the podcast directory and you can jump to the ones you need. But let's go through when you're in a really busy season of life, whether it's because of work, whether it's because of family shit, whether it's because you guys are new parents, you don't need to be having sex all throughout the week. In fact, you might go through weeks where you don't even have sex. We go through weeks where we don't even have sex. Do I love it? No. Like, I want sex all the fucking time. But do I also remind myself that like my brain is focused right now and it's okay that we're not having sex for a week because it's called a fucking season, and next week we'll have it like 5 times in the week and it will kind of like equal each other out? Yes. Do I remind myself, or do I tune into my body and feel super loved by him and chosen by him and wanted by him, even though we haven't had sex for a week? Yes. Great. Okay. Like, things are good then. We have to remember as human beings, especially like modern human beings in today's day and age, that our brains are often being pulled in multiple directions. And so sometimes we need to give each other grace, because that grace also creates the spaciousness for the sex to be happening, or for the more stuff that you want to be happening. But I'll give you another example. A lot of people will look at Instagram and be like, oh my God, we never go out on any like fancy dates, blah, blah, blah. I don't really like fancy dates. I really don't. In the beginning of dating, yes, like wine and dine me, minus the wine, dine me. But now I'm like, my idea of like quality us time is going for a walk, is, just going like having no plan and just going and doing something, like it being spontaneous. Him coming out and like looking at my garden, I'm like, yes, this is like cute quality us time. Like, it feels like a date. Him coming out and looking at my garden. What else? Just like cooking dinner at home and spending time together watching a really good movie, or playing a card game, or like exploring a new city and getting gelato. Like, that is my idea of really good us time. I don't need a fancy date, and I especially don't want a fancy date when we are tired or busy, or we wish that we were somewhere else. Now, obviously, you guys, I have the added context, sorry, the added layer of my fiance and I work together now. And so as a result of that, I'm like, if we can make it work, if we can still be obsessed with each other and unconditionally love each other and kind of like switch between those modes, then you guys can as well, right? So if we can still manage to like navigate those ups and downs, and just like, when I say ups and downs, it's like one day you're all over each other, the next day you're like, don't fucking talk to me. That's called being in a relationship. I mean, you are with this person for a lot of hours in the day. A lot of us are now working from home, and so they're right in the next room. So you're seeing them all the time. And if you are doing that, if you are seeing them all the time, then it is really imperative that you are carving out that you time to connect back to you, to kind of miss him, so that when you're with him again, things are hot and heavy. I feel like I'm going on a tangent that's like not answering this question. What I did want to come back and also say is that if you feel like the whole like, oh, is my relationship enough? It feels like you guys have kind of gotten in a bit of a lull, and things are a bit like you're being a bit lazy, and you're not kind of chasing each other or putting effort into each other, or like the sex isn't really happening and you're just like waiting for him to initiate. You got to remember that conversations are really, really important. And not, we need to make our relationship the same as what I see on Instagram, or the same as this. Not that at all, but really tuning into what you're desiring in the relationship and starting to communicate that. Because the less you communicate about something, the harder that thing becomes to communicate, and the more taboo it becomes in the relationship. The more that you talk about it, the more nonchalant, easy, whatever the whole topic becomes. So, for example, if you guys never talk about sex, you now feel 10 times like more awkward about asking for sex or about talking about your sex life or whatever it is because you never talk about it. If you always talk about sex and you make it a chill, easy conversation, now there's no sweaty armpits when you're like, babe, we haven't had sex in 2 weeks and like my pussy is needing your dick right now. Now that becomes an easy thing to say, right? Um, and on the topic of sex as well, sometimes if you're not sometimes, nearly all the time, actually, if you're like, I don't want sex or I have a low libido or like I'm just not like feeling turned on by you anymore, it's because you aren't creating situations that are going to turn you on, that are going to make you want sex. Like we have to put effort into sex. When you're in the beginning of dating somebody, you don't have to put any effort in because that newness, that unknown, that mystery, that getting to know each other, there is so much curiosity that boosts your libido and makes you want to have sex all the time. Obviously, as things go forward, you have to put a little bit of effort in to get that big reward back of having juicy, delicious sex all the time. And that effort comes in many ways. But one of them that women often don't realize is this is also men too, by the way. When you don't have a lot of sex, you don't want sex. When you start having sex again, now you want sex because it's kind of like when you put a book down and you don't want to open the book. Like you put a book down for like 3 days and now you're not bothered to open it because you kind of like forgotten where you were up to. And it's like, you're not like hanging off the edge of your seat. But you know, when you like put a book down and then it's like you are like desperate for it the next day and then you open it up again. But after you don't open it for 3 days, you're kind of like not thinking about it. The same rule applies with sex. The thing that boosts your libido is literally having orgasms. That is a great, and amongst other things, but that is a great thing to boost your libido. The thing that makes you want to have more sex is having more sex because we then, our pleasure sentence in our brain are like, oh my God, this is what it fucking feels like. Yes, I want more of this. Like, this is why I used to love sex. It's not that you don't like sex anymore. It's not that you aren't attracted to each other anymore. And it's not, oh, life is too busy. It's you are not prioritizing the importance of intimacy, of pleasure, of desire, and of sex.